Hello, and welcome to Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the human keg, Alessandro Wells. Say hello, Al.
Hello, Al.
Dick. Our main topic for this episode is going to be John Wick. But first, Al, what are we drinking?
You would have to ask that, right? Because
Yeah, kept this one a secret from
I did. So, what I have, courtesy of
Look at that beautiful pour.
my friend Josh Arcaro, thank you very much, sir. What I have for you is what many consider a holy grail of beer drinking, and that is Heady Topper.
Heady Topper.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with this.
Oh,
That's
unfortunate. I was
unfortunate.
worried that was what was going to happen. God damn it. So
This has been episode...
henceforth, there will no longer be a Flix in the Six because I'm not going to be speaking to my co-host any further. So Heady Topper is a IPA. I think it's a double IPA technically.
A diaper?
Double India Pale Ale from the Alchemist in Vermont. It's really hard to get. The Alchemist Brewing.
Okay.
In Vermont. It's really hard to get. I know Josh drove like 2 hours each way or something like that to get it. They went up on a ski trip. And there's like a set release date to it. Like when it's coming out, it's on that day at whatever store. A lot of stores have rules of how many each person can buy.
Okay.
Like they keep it super limited.
It's one of those.
They completely control the whole. And by the way, we're not sponsored by Alchemist, of course, and probably never will be. But yeah, they keep it super controlled, like the product and everything. Like you can't just go and buy it. Like I don't know if it's actually sold outside of Vermont. It's only sold in certain stores, and it's only sold on certain days. People literally they know the release schedule. They line up before stores open to go buy it. Yeah,
It's the whole thing.
it's a thing. So for those of you,
I'm real disappointed if this isn't good.
me too. I've never actually
had
the
it.
opportunity to have it.
This
before.
is the first for you
This
as
is
well?
The first time I've
See,
had
that's
it as well.
special.
Right?
I like
I
that.
wanted to save this surprise for Flix and a Six.
Alright. I dig it.
Also, I just
Sorry to let you down.
I just happened to get lucky and buy the last one that Josh had because he bought a whole bunch of it to sell to people when he got back here. So, for those of you who are not familiar with it, Heady Topper is an American double India Pale Ale. This beer is not intended to be the biggest or most bitter. It's meant to give you wave after wave of hoppy goodness on your palate. Tremendous amounts of American hops will creep up on you, leave you with a dense hoppy finish in your mouth. It's so drinkable, it's scary. Sometimes I wish I could crawl right into the can. Freshness and control have always been my main concern when it comes to our beer.
Side note, Al didn't write this.
I didn't write any of this.
It's
I
from
wish
the
I
can.
did. Oh, fuck. We're committed to providing you with an unfiltered and unpasteurized hop experience. Why do I recommend that you drink it from the can? Quite simply, to ensure a delightful hop experience. We're splitting this can, so it's coming from a glass for us. That's my own side note here. The act of pouring it in a glass smells nice, but it releases the essential hop aromas. Fuck, did I fuck this up?
You broke it?
That we
You broke the beer?
I ruined it. That we worked.
You didn't read it beforehand?
So hard. I skimmed. There's a lot of words, as you can tell. We've worked so hard to retain. If you must pour it in a glass, you may find that some of the hop resins have settled to the bottom.
That's what that is.
Leave them in the can when pouring. No, I left the last little smidge here. It should be
Gotcha. No, there's like little pieces floating around. I was wondering what those were.
I didn't shake it up or anything too much. It should be settled well enough. This beer is perishable, and it's at its best when it's young. That's true of most IPAs.
Isn't that... Oh, okay.
Fresh and hazy.
Is that not true of most beers in general?
No, actually, now that you mention it, not this episode nor the next episode of Flix and a Six, but coming to a Flix and a Six near you soon will be the first ever reserve label of Al's Ales, in which you will have one of my aged ales.
Okay.
Your cats are menaces.
Something's happened.
Keep it cold, but not ice cold.
It's playtime, apparently, in the living room.
Yeah. Oh, also at the bottom it says, "Don't be a d-bag, recycle this can."
Nice. I dig it. All right, so without further ado, let us cheers.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm into that.
You're all the way in?
I am. Yeah, I'm all the way in. I'm not going to go there. I almost said it, but I'm not going to say it. I am. Wow.
I'll say it for you. I'm fully inside it.
God. That's a tasty brew.
And it's delightful, right?
Wow, okay. Heady Topper. Look at you. Great.
So once again,
Apparently, this is something that I did on the last episode, too. Great can art.
Oh, phenomenal!
Fan of the can art.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Again, I don't know who does that either.
This is great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can find this,
you can find some of their other beers in stores. Although they're pretty small, like craft breweries. So
yeah.
But this one is, as I said, a holy grail type of beer. It's like up there with like Three Floyd's like their Imperial Stout. Like that's another big one that you'll hear. Like it's like someone like they mention it in hushed tones. Like, oh, you got to have that. Like,
oh, okay. And the answer to this one is, well,
right,
yes, I have. What is it? Isn't there like another beer like called Utopia or something that's super hard to get?
I don't know. I'm sure there are, depending on like who you're talking to, what style, and this and that. As much as I know about beer and the beer world, I do not know anywhere near all of it.
So the problem with this beer
is that you're not drinking more of it.
No, is that you've now set the bar so high.
Fuck. Well, the next episode we record is gonna be my beer.
I know. I'm gonna trash it.
Fuck. I should have. Well,
this hot trash.
I want you to drink
my
You did that last time.
No, I didn't. I enjoyed it.
I
liked the soy sauce.
The holiday soy stale.
I like the holiday soy stale. I do like the Heady Topper, though. All right.
By the way, Josh, hopefully you're actually listening at this point, because I think as of this recording, you haven't actually listened to any of our stuff. So,
Josh, thank you.
Fuck you, and thanks for the Heady Topper.
Josh, thank you for this beer, and also for dealing with my cousin.
I won't even respond to that.
All right. Topic for today's show.
The John Wick universe?
The John Wick universe. And the fan stopped again. It completely threw me off. Oh my god.
I'm never going to get used to it.
Alright, so John Wick. Interesting couple of films here so far.
Yeah.
2 so far. We'll get into it. There'll be a third one. It's no secret. It's already up on
almost definitely. Is it up there?
It's already listed. I don't know what the deal is with it, but it's
last
listed.
I heard they haven't like started pre-production yet, but I guess like they have greenlit it, because I haven't seen the official release saying they greenlit the next one. But if they didn't, like, I mean, I guess technically it could have been a fitting end, and we'll keep spoilers to the very end of this one, because we want to spend most of this podcast talking about the greater world of John Wick, not just John Wick 2.
Once again, you'll get a fair warning before we get into it, but when we get into it, we're going deep.
We're going as deep as I am in this beer.
Jesus. So John Wick 2 starring none other than Wolverine's beard.
The beard looks better on Hugh Jackman than it does on Keanu Reeves.
Agreed. But Keanu Reeves, big fan of him in these movies.
In these movies, yes.
Yeah. He hasn't always hit the mark for me, but in this...
No. He's had like kind of an up and down like career, I guess. Like,
yeah.
I mean, both of us are huge fans of the Matrix movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I do like him.
I don't know if I necessarily like him.
I like him.
And I like Speed. The thing is...
Cans! It was cans! My favorite line from Speed. It is the most over-delivered line in that entirely overly delivered movie.
I feel like I like Keanu Reeves movies, but I don't necessarily like Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
And he's fine in John Wick, and I think he's fine because he only says about 15 lines in each movie.
Yeah.
And one of the best known is another over-delivered one, but I guess it's kind of fitting for I'm thinking I'm back. Like, it works for the scene. Yeah. It's not in keeping with what's going on in the first one when he does that, but it's still overdone. Like,
yeah. So, great choreography in these movies.
Yes, and I was checking it out because I found it a curiosity when the first one was coming in. I had zero interest in the movie when it was the first John Wick when it was coming out. I was just like, oh, it's a weird resurrection of Keanu Reeves' career.
Why don't you actually give a synopsis of the movie before we get into some of the details? I guess yes, and the John Wick so far, because this is a true part 1, part 2 so far movie.
Yeah, well, I mean,
which we'll get into.
So we can do that. I think at this point most people have the idea, right? Guy, assassin, retires, wife dies, buries his wife, gets a gift of a puppy from the wife. Puppy also is brutally murdered.
And that's the last straw.
God damn it. Now he's thinking he's back.
He's not back.
He's thinking he's back. And also his car was stolen. Well, that was the whole reason, right? For those of you who, again, why are you listening to this if you haven't seen the first one? If you're thinking about watching the first one, there's going to be some light spoilers for the first one here early on, yes. The dog died. It was in the commercial, pretty much, or at least it was very heavily implied. But yeah, so like the whole Alfie Allen's character, like the Russian mobster's son, like he loves his classic muscle car, and he's like, oh, I want that car, and he says, fuck you, I'm not selling you the car, and
cats are going nuts. I'm sorry about that. They're gonna continue to go nuts.
They're more nuts.
I don't know how to calm them.
They're more nuts than they were in the last session. That's what I was confused by. Yeah, so he comes and steals the car, and he murders the dog for the fuck of it, I guess. Like, really, like, that insult.
And at that moment, we were all invested.
Well, it's like a joke, and I think Brian have a story involving that, where why do we care about the dog dying? Or that's one of the ones he's going to write.
I think it's one of these.
Why do we care about the dog dying?
Yeah.
That, like, people, like, nameless people who get killed. And it's the whole thing of, like, the protection of innocence, like, you know, like, especially that, like, it is, like, a brand new little beagle puppy, like, you know, it's adorable, and it's, like, John gets, like, 1 day with the puppy before it gets murdered, and it's, like, 1 day after his wife's funeral, so, even not knowing he's an assassin, you should be able to tell, like, this dude, he's just a dude, he's clearly not all there right now, like, don't fuck with him, and, you know, that's how it goes in the business, I guess,
right.
But...
So with this movie, what's different with this movie than most for me is for movie it's all about the story usually for me. Like it's like, and it's always about the story I guess. But I'm not the one. I won't go to a movie specifically for the action itself. I'm actually.
But that's what this movie was selling itself.
Right. Lately, I have actually not been into that as much. Like as I grow up,
it's part of the reason. It's part of the reason why I didn't have a lot of appeal. Like it looked like a B movie with slick visuals.
It looked like Keanu Reeves went Steven Seagal.
Yes, but like the beginning of the end for Steven Seagal, right? Like where it's like, oh, this is happening now.
But what sets this movie apart?
I looked it up. The first movie had a $20 million budget, and the second one had a $40 million budget. And you can see that change between the two. Yeah. And the first one, they did tremendous stuff for such a small budget. And I honestly don't know how they
got that Willem Dafoe.
Right. Well, I don't know how they account for it because like there's a bunch of named people in there. They're not A-listers per se, but it's like
fair.
Like Willem Dafoe, Adrian Palicki, you know, Ian McShane, Alfie Allen, who's becoming someone now due to his rise from Game of Thrones and this and that. Like, there's not like there's no one in that movie. Hell, you have 30 seconds of Bridget Moynihan, like, you know, playing his dead wife, you know.
But it's something that we're going to get into further, but it really is the world building in this movie that sets it apart from other things. And it's the story that's told without literally none of the dialogue has anything to do with like the most interesting parts of this movie.
Yeah, it's
but
pretty incredible, works, right? Like it's a show don't tell type of thing, which is cool, right? Like how that would happen. And like the words sometimes even seem to hold it back at times, right? Like it's
Gans.
No. It's something as simple as in the first one, him driving up into New York City and him going to, I guess it was the Flatiron Building, right?
Yeah.
And he walks in and says, "Hey, I'd like to book a room for 2 nights." And he says, "Can I talk to, is the proprietor?" And he goes, "Yes, of course." And you find out that this is whole elegant underworld of assassins, but no one says. He says, "Oh, just remember that no business can be done on continental grounds." Yeah. Continental being the brand of hotel or whatever that's run.
But the way that Al just delivered that line, though, that's like that's what I'm getting at. Is like the
super understated, like
everything is just like assume that this is all gonna make sense and just
take it at face value, and
it
it's
does.
all filled in, right? Because there's later
really elegantly
where he's in a tussle with Adrian Palicki, who's attempting to break those rules. And he runs into another gentleman who's staying there, and he says, "You working, John?" And he says, "Kind of."
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it means. No business. Okay, like because he's got her at gunpoint, but it's very obvious from the situation that he's not the one inciting this, and that's why he lets it fly, right? Because it's like, okay, you're handling your business, you know.
Yeah. So it's great, and that was so the first movie introduces you to those gold coins, right? These like interesting little currency that goes along with this whole this underworld of assassins. And it starts out like the first time you see this,
and they kind of leave it hidden somewhat in the first one, right? They don't. That's more in the second one that they explain the coins, right?
They don't even really explain it as much.
But you understand
it's
what
a currency.
It's worth.
It's got a big worth.
Yeah, but you don't. I feel like because he just offers that dude one coin in the first one, right? And then you see him.
No, the first use of the coin is when he pays the cleaner.
No. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, at the house.
And he gives him a chunk. Like I think it's like 3 or 4. Oh no, you know what he does? It's one for each person.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. He starts bringing sleeves of them out in the second one. You realize how important.
Yeah, like this.
It is like.
But he's also going to get what he needs. Oh, and you also understand that that's also a scale thing. When he in the second movie, he's going to take out a bunch of these coins. You're
that's
like,
true.
We're going into this beer.
And that's
you know what I'm saying? We're going deep.
And that's another indication of the whole world building through show don't tell. This is the slightest of spoilers because I think you caught a little bit in the beer. Is that good?
That's so good.
I'm watching like the visual representation of ecstasy on your face as you sip the beer.
So tasty.
God, now I wish I brought 2.
Or 7.
I don't have 7. So you see in the second one, and this is only the most minor spoilers. So I think part of it was in the trailer when he heads to Rome, and they have an extension of the Continental there in Rome.
Right.
John's clearly done business there; people recognize him, and he decides to start going, and he's going to acquire what he needs for the job. And he goes and he meets with the sommelier, who's played by the excellent Peter Serafinowicz. Who, if you don't know who I'm talking about by name. He's that guy who you've seen in a bunch of different things, and you've heard his voice in a bunch of different things, because he's done a lot of voice work, too. Great voice.
Oh, is there?
You got that very sophisticated vibe and everything like that. Look him up, fuck you.
Damn.
And he's, and they're having, what would you tell me to have for the appetizer? And, for the appetizer, and he shows him one gun,
Never breaking it. It's always in this character of the sommelier.
Oh, yes. Very haughty, very composed, regal, sophisticated.
And it's not just him. Keanu Reeves is John Wick. I don't know the proper way to talk. But Keanu Reeves is interacting. John's interacting with him in the same way, like the same language is being used. Like the whole point of this is like if you turn away from the screen, they're talking about what wine to pair with dinner.
It's true. If you just heard the audio of that whole scene, you would have thought you're listening to someone ordering wine like exquisite.
It is the most pretentious dinner scene ever.
Yes. And for dessert, I think you're gonna like this. What
was it like for something with dessert or dinner? Like, I want something a little bit more robust.
Yes. Just like the same way that you would order a wine. Yeah. I was thinking something more robust. I have the perfect thing in mind for you. It's so great, and it's like so simple and understated. There's outside of him describing the guns that the sommelier is offering him. There's nothing being said, but you just see how this world operates.
Yep.
And you can totally see this being a transaction that's occurring at any given day by any of these high level assassins that you see them just wandering around in the background. They look like just dudes in a hotel, but they're all crazy lethal killers.
And that's a constant thing in these 2 movies, and it's just like this world. They double down and triple down on this world over and over again throughout the movie. Like,
and that was a big thing, right? Like
and you
from
just
the first
have to accept it.
The first one, it's one hotel. You see a couple people there, and again, it's all elegant dining, and everyone's they got a little club. The bartender, John, I haven't seen you in forever. How you doing? And she hugs him, gives him a kiss across the bar, and this and that. And then you see in the second one that this is not just in New York City. It's an international affair where the rules are the same no matter where you go. And not only is the proprietor, played by Ian McShane, Winston in the movie, and him and John seem to be on very good terms, right? Although John has a bone to pick, rightfully so, and Winston the rules still stand.
Yeah.
Carry out your business how you have to, but while you're here, you follow the rules. And I'll help you. And you can see he probably pulls the strings a little bit, right? Like in a way that maybe someone who is kind of supposed to be neutral like him wouldn't normally do. But the idea is to make sure everything's even and level, right? He puts him in contact with the people he needs and this and that. And he has friends in the business even though he's out. Willem Dafoe does him a gentleman's courtesy, like that. Like, and that whole world that's... The framework is built in the first one, and it's expanded so tremendously in the second one is so cool because we get an idea for just how many. It's actually to the point of absurdity. How many assassins? Without spoiling the final scene, there is an absurd amount of assassins in any one place at any given time.
It's crazy. terrifying,
an entire New York City block.
And that's the thing. Like the second one is so much. Like there's so much about scale in the world building for the second one. It's really cool how they
which would make it interesting for me where the third one goes. If I wouldn't be surprised if they don't continue to build it,
right?
Because I don't know how much bigger you can make it so fast. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they draw it down to start at least.
It's going to be hard.
This is spoiler free right now. I don't want to say anything.
Keep up with.
We're talking around it. It's vague a little bit, but the way we're left with the end of the second one, if we do go to a third one, which seems to be the framework is fully there. I would expect it to start as a smaller scale because we already extrapolated exponentially from the first to the second one and how big the scale is. It would be hard to do it bigger short of going to the moon.
It's just like, I don't understand. It's so cool how it can... I fully understand everything that I've seen so far in those movies.
Even though they've said very little
about it. Even though they've said nothing. And also... And
that's masterful cinematography.
There is no hand-holding.
No.
At all. No. Or anything in those. It's really cool.
No, it's strap in your seatbelts and we're gonna do this.
It kind of lets your imagination run. Like the gold coins. It's like, oh, what else are they using these things for? Like, obviously it's a currency, but what are the kinds of things that they can buy? Like,
and that's another thing that even the little trinkets and intricacies that we see from the first one are expanded upon in the second one when we have the markers.
Yes, which is
we won't go too much into yet, but. Well,
a new mechanic in this whole
the whole thing in that an idea of it's kind of playing on the age-old blood oath thing where
or blood pact.
It's unbreakable, and the only rules about it are that if you don't follow it, woe be to you.
Right. In blood.
In blood. You sign in blood, and you'll pay in blood.
Right.
And that's another thing. We get 90 seconds of explanation about that, and it carries the whole movie.
And it just works.
Right?
Yep. Oh, so good. It does carry the whole movie because like we said earlier, like the plots of the two movies are very simple.
As stripped down and basic as they can be.
The plot of the movie, period, and I'm going to get into that statement in a minute.
That it's multiple chapters in one story.
So on that note, it's the second one is not John Wick 2, it's part 2. And
is it part 2 or chapter 2?
Or chapter 2.
Yeah.
Which works really well. I like when it means something, like when the title like that means something. Like it's not a sequel. It is literally like the like it just goes on.
It's a full and equal expansion pack,
right?
On the first one,
it's crazy. It just because like and in so much so that it's like it rolls right off the end of the last one. There's no.
It picks up days later,
if that.
I don't know. I don't remember 100%. I remember
probably a few, just because he's
less than a week for sure.
He's doing a little bit better, but
yeah, because you can see he's still feeling the effects, but he's started to heal at least.
Yeah. So I do want to get into the spoilers soon, but before we do that, a couple of things to talk about. So first off, there's as we talked about in this world, there are these gold coins. It's this unit of currency. There is the marker, which is a unit it's a blood pact or a blood oath,
yes.
Where you have to. You get a big favor, but you owe the person no matter what they ask. Mm-hmm. And once that's fulfilled, it's cleared. And then you get
and furthermore, there's accounting for it.
The ledger.
Yes, right, there is a ledger in the Continental Hotel that Winston maintains.
Right.
That when the terms of the blood marker are satisfied, everything is completely wrapped up and tied up, and there's no longer a compulsion. And if you fuck with someone who was previously under that compulsion, it's going to turn back on you now.
Right.
Which, to think that these assassins could all be... That there's a governing body that we see some of in John Wick 2 that we hadn't heard about in the first one, not just within the Continental Hotel structure, but in the international crime and assassin game. There's a inheritance. Mm-hmm. We deal with... The plot of the second one deals with... disputes over the inheritance of a seat on this table, as if there was real international law governing this, which is ridiculous.
And the other big piece is this legend of John Wick.
Yes, Baba Yaga,
the boogeyman.
Yeah,
I love that. There's you find out very early on that people are scared shitless.
John Wick. John Wick is Darth Vader.
Not people, bad people.
Yes,
are scared of this man.
terribly talented murderous assassins are terrified of him.
Which is just like, it's like such a cool thing. You just like, and if you start to pick up that you just have to accept these things and go with them, and
then they're proven.
Yeah, and then they're proven, and you can enjoy it so much more if you just like really just be like, look, like you're gonna get it. Just go with it right now.
Think about it from the first one when the mob boss, after having, John Wick offended him, supposedly, says, round up as many men as you can. Or how many men can you get me? How many do you need? How many do you have available?
Yeah.
He goes, send them all. And then when he finds out that they're all dead, it's like, well, I had to try.
Yeah.
Like, he knew it was inevitable,
right.
But it was like the Hail Mary that you take at the end of a football game. Like, it was like, it was inevitable that he was going to murder the shit out of all of them and walk clean, and he does.
So, with that, I think it's time to dive in.
Yeah.
A little deeper.
Okay.
A lot deeper.
All the way?
All the way into this.
Balls deep.
Like the beer.
Yes.
So, spoilers
going forward now.
Now.
So, turn it off if you have to.
And that is, yeah. Okay, so, there is a character in this movie that I didn't know how to bring up prior to spoilers because...
First or second? In the second one?
Both, actually. So he kills everybody in the house. A bunch of people come to the house to get him. They come to hurt him.
You're not talking about Tom Sadowski.
And is that Don?
Yes.
Yeah, I am 100% talking about Don.
So I wanted to bring that up before the show, and I was like, you know what? We're just going to talk about it at some point because I forgot he was in the first one until I saw him in the second. I was like, oh fuck, I forgot he was in the first one. It's almost exactly the same scene.
So, okay.
It lasts 30 seconds, and that's all he's in it for.
The reason in the first one is that it's when they send everybody to the house, right? And that's when he kills them all.
It's when they send the assassins, he kills them all, and he has, as soon as he's done killing the last one, the doorbell rings.
But not just, the doorbell rings, but you see the silhouette behind the door, and you see
flashing lights outside
you see the cop
window.
light. You're like, ah, crap. But he's very calmly approaching the door. Again, go with it. It's like, just accept it. He's got the gun behind his back. He's like, he's trained. He knows that there's like, looks like this. It could be something else. I'm just going to keep this gun on me. Opens the door. Don from Newsroom.
Officer Jimmy.
Looks at him and he goes,
hey, John.
Hey, John. Noise complaint.
Complaint.
And, what? Oh, my God.
And he goes,
what,
you working again?
You working again?
Kind of.
No. Have a good night, Jimmy.
Yeah.
and they just close the door. And, like, that's the only
why does this random small-time cop know
right.
who he is?
And he's just like, okay. And he walks away.
And he's okay with it.
Yeah. Because he obviously knows, like...
No, but, like, knows who he is.
Yeah.
Is okay with
it. The
it.
legend exceeds...
Knows that he just, on the other side of that door, murdered the shit. Actually, I think he sees the body.
Yeah, he's like...
Like, John steps out of the way.
He looks in, he sees the dead body, and he goes, you working again? And he goes, have a good night, Jimmy.
And he walks away.
Yeah, and he walks away. And it's so good. And then they just recall that whole thing. In the second one, they blow up his house.
After he refuses. That's important, and that's what we were talking about, the blood marker. Carrying the entire movie. He refuses it, says, no, listen, I didn't come back to work like everyone's saying I did. I was just avenging the death of my dog.
Yeah.
And robbing of my car. But also, by the way, Peter Stormare in the opening of, like, I love that guy. He's a fucking awesome actor.
Yeah.
He always plays, like, a ridiculous role. Like, from like, the first time I saw him in Armageddon as the Swedish guy playing a Russian cosmonaut, that guy always gets me. Like, oh my God. Same thing. Constantine, he plays the devil. Like, he's just great. And he's playing the brother of the mob boss from the first one, and he has John's car. Oh my God. So
the house is blown up, and Jimmy comes rolling up, and he's like, gas leak? And he goes, John nods.
Yep.
And then he goes, you working again, John?
Yep.
And he goes, I'll see you later, Jimmy. Or he says, have a good night, Jimmy. I think that's what the line is. And it's the same line in both first and second movie. And he goes, okay. And then he walks away. This time, Jimmy goes, oh, shit. It's so good. Because there's this clear relationship between the two of them. And you don't need any more. It's that funny, and I love it.
Random is like, is it a cameo or just a super small role?
I have no idea. I have no idea what that qualifies as.
And he's so good on the Newsroom. Like, and I couldn't stand him in the first season. And I know we're talking about TV shows now and not movies, and we're going to talk about whatever the fuck we want to.
Yeah.
And me and Anthony both freaking love the Newsroom.
And I love Don.
And Don Kiefer, like, oh my God. What he has can't be taught.
No, not at all. That was
for you newsroom fans, all three of you who are listening
doctored
to
the
this.
fucking tapes.
Doctor the tape. He doctored the tape. He doctored the motherfucking tape.
Oh man, but yeah, if you haven't watched Newsroom, you should definitely go and watch that.
Oh, absolutely.
But okay, so now back to why his house was blown up. As you were explaining before, it's because he denied the blood oath
from Santino,
who came and he asked him to do something, and a very broken John.
See, that was the one thing that they probably could have explained better, because I feel like they retconned a bit from what they explained in the first one. Because the whole thing with the blood marker was that in order for John to retire, he had to make this agreement with Santino. They said that.
No, for him to retire, the reason he made the agreement with Santino was he needed his help to fulfill his impossible task. That's all it was.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Did I miss that? Because I know in the first one, the mob boss says that I set him an impossible task to allow him to retire. But it sounded like it wasn't just that. It was
they do recap it in the second.
Did they?
Chapter 2.
I just remember him saying.
And he said you got out. The only reason you got out was because of my help. Like with your impossible task, like something along those lines.
See, I don't remember him saying the impossible task. I just remember him saying
you
couldn't have left without my help. Is all I
like,
remember him saying.
It was used again.
Okay,
it was in straight.
So maybe I just missed that because I was a little unclear about that whole thing, like why he owed that, like why it was conditional, why he's self-employed technically, like why he couldn't have just walked away from the game. You know what I mean?
So it was this thing, but so he's asking him to do he's basically calling on the favor, and a very, very tired, very done John Wick is like, no, please don't do this. And the guy is asking for the marker. He's basically he shows him the marker, a favor, which is the first time you see the marker. Which if you loved the first movie, which I don't see how you couldn't. If you love the first movie, you're like, ooh, what's this new thing?
Yes,
because that's the first time you see it.
Yes,
and you don't know anything.
It looks
about
like a little compass
that.
or a little pocket watch type of thing.
And it's like ancient looking.
Yeah, and he opens it and it's got the little spike, and it's got the one blood thumbprint on it from John when he made the. And it can only be satisfied once Santino marks himself and puts his mark on the other thing as well, and signs the ledger with Winston.
And it's like this very, very much so. You're just kind of like, why are you like? You probably know you shouldn't do this, Santino.
Yes,
you gotta know. You're dumb. You're dumb.
You did. The whole reason you came, and he comes and he says, "Oh, I heard about some stuff, and also, by the way, flippantly, oh, sorry about the loss of your wife, blah blah blah, so on and so forth." Back to why I'm here,
which is it sucks because as you don't know, we as the viewer don't know what's going on when he gets to the door.
Yeah, we know that John is visibly shook by seeing him.
Right,
not that he's afraid of him, but afraid of. Because he knows what he's here to ask.
Right, and then after the fact, that's what you realize. You realize it's that he knew the whole time. Like, the only reason this guy's at my door right now is he's...
going to ask me to fulfill
He thinks I'm
this.
Back, and he's asking me to fulfill... Yeah.
Because that was... He did say that much, was that when you retired, I said I would never ask for you to do this.
But you came back.
So... And I need the help.
Yeah.
And you're the man for the job. And that was back to what I was mentioning earlier about the so-called politics and inheritance of the seat on the... And I don't remember what the name of the council is, and I'm not going to bother looking it up, but... Because it really didn't matter, although
just the fact that there is a council.
That's looming over the third movie, if and when they do it, considering... we're in full spoiler territory. He killed both Gianna and Santino.
Right.
Who were the two people who were supposed to hold that...
He didn't kill Gianna, but yeah.
Gianna died as a result of their meeting. No, actually, technically, he did kill her.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She slit her own wrist and then he... finished her off.
He did. Does it not count if he doesn't do it? That's a question for...
All Santino said was make sure she dies.
Yeah.
I
was curious. Yeah.
Even if it was like he distracted her while she was crossing the street and she got hit by a bus, I think it would still fulfill the contract. Yeah.
She's just a pile of guts on the floor and he just walks over to it.
Shoots it.
Bang! Did it. It was me.
Well, that got dark.
I got it. Oh my god.
Yeah, so... that whole thing is going to be looming over the next one because... And did someone mention that in the movie? I don't remember if that was mentioned or if I read that somewhere else. Winston might have said that in the final scene, that you've attracted the attention of the council because you killed both of the people who were supposed to sit in that seat on the council. And they don't do well with people killing members of the council.
I thought the reason that he was it was that, and the fact that he conducted business on continental grounds. Well, that was the biggest piece.
No, that was why he had an issue. That was why he had an issue with Winston.
Yeah,
but he's not answerable to the council. He just stays in their good graces because they're going to make it hell for him. Mm. You know, I mean, he's answerable to them on a business level. But
Winston is such a cool character.
The excommunication comes from Winston because he can't let it slide.
Right.
Even with the extraneous circumstances.
And the fact that there's clearly a history there, because it's not...
You know, he could have given him clearance.
Yeah.
He could have said, after all this is done, fuck you, Santino, you broke the rules. Because he does say to him earlier, you broke the rules. Uh-huh. Putting out the hit on him after he... Because remember, he makes him sign the thing with the marker.
Yeah.
And he still...
Well, no, there wasn't a rule that he broke there. He just made a dumb move. There's no rule against him putting a hit out on John.
He put a hit out on him because... Well, okay. So you're right. The original hit was just to tie it all up.
Yeah.
But he signed the marker after that.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to kill John.
Yeah.
And so he could have let him...
He's unprotected because of that.
Well, that gave him clearance to kill Santino if he wanted, because the marker was done.
Yeah.
He could have given him clearance to kill him on company grounds. Or he could have told Santino, you're no longer welcome here.
I was actually wondering in that scene.
Because he says, I could live here for a long time.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like, your membership's been revoked. Bang! Like, I was hoping that was going to be...
So Winston is kind of complicit in his excommunication. Like, he understands the bigger picture here, even if other people don't. And if he says it goes, then it goes. No one's going to question him. Right?
Yeah.
But because he doesn't give him the clearance and John shoots him...
I don't think
impulsively.
he would, under any circumstance, give anybody the clearance because he runs this very tight ship. It's not going to happen.
Well, fine, but even if he didn't give him clearance, he could have said, "He's protected within these walls. Your thing is revoked, and we're going to throw you out."
That maybe he could have done that. I don't know how.
And we'll give you an hour head start, and then John's going to hunt you down.
I don't know what the rules are around that though, because
he makes the rules. It's his place.
No, it's not. I mean, the Continental. There's multiple Continentals,
but they're all run by him.
He just happens... Well, yeah. The other people seem to be partners, though.
No.
The other runners.
No, the other guys were all... They're just talking about the maitre d's, which is the
No, what about the guy that runs the one in Rome?
But it's still owned by him. You're talking about the priest, right? Who says, that, which was also, I thought, was a pretty funny scene, right? When he... Father, I just have one question to ask. Are you here to kill the Pope?
Yeah.
No. Oh, then how can I help?
Yeah.
No, I see, but I didn't view him as an equal to Winston. I viewed him as an equal to Karen, the guy who's the maitre d' in the...
oh, interesting.
The one who takes the dog for him while he's off on business.
I think I'd have to reassess that whole...
I viewed him as an equal to him. I could be wrong, but that was how I looked at it.
Yeah, I saw it as he runs that continent.
I looked at it as he was equal to him, and that he also was answerable to Winston.
Interesting,
but I could be wrong. But considering he was the proprietor, and it was also a continental, I assumed that Winston owned all.
Well, then there's the other thing that lends itself more to your idea on it is that Winston is account number one.
Is what?
He's account number one.
Yeah.
On the. That's another mechanic that was introduced.
Yes.
Is that when they put the hit out, there's this
that was cool showing the mechanics of that, right?
Like there's this whole system in place where they call in
because the mob boss calls in the hit on him in the first one,
right?
But he's just everyone's gonna go and kill him. It's out, and we see the process they go through, like an old timey ordering system, like in the Great Depression or something like that.
Vacuum tubes and
and it's all there's a girl with cutoffs and tattoos on her arm, and also an old lady that you could expect to see in a 1950s movie, and they're both working side by side, typing it in, stamping it, this and that, the vacuum tubes, you said, and then all of a sudden, and she's typing in an old 1990s looking GUI on a computer, and this and that, and then all of a sudden it's on smartphones all over the world, as every assassin has an open contract on John Wick for $14 million or whatever it is at the end of the movie, that was cool as shit. Yeah. And again, the only words spoken are the different people talking to each other, fulfilling the details of the contract as they're filling out the paperwork. There's nothing said. They just show you the inner workings. They show them making the
so cool
the bread behind the scenes.
Really great visual storytelling. Love it. There's just so much. There's so much to enjoy about those.
And the cast in these movies is fucking amazing too. Yeah. Ruby Rose is doing whatever she's
about
doing.
About her in this last movie though. At first I was like, when she makes an eccentric motion with her hands after she pats him down. This is the first time you're introduced to her. She pats him down and then with like 2 fingers she like points to something, and you're like, at this point
over the top.
I was like, ugh. I was like, this character sucks. And then like maybe 20 minutes later, oh no, she's deaf.
Yeah,
like those are
well,
like. I'm sorry, not deaf. Yeah, she's mute. Like those are hand. Like she's actually signing.
Yes.
And I was like,
because it was just the over the top way she did
all
it,
is forgiven.
and we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, just like she was doing like the tough guy act.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, like like
Yeah.
intimidate you, not gonna say
badass,
words.
yeah.
Like she's like feeling him up and shit.
Yeah.
She like grab his dick or something like shit. Like you know what I mean? Like she's doing like
grabs
all
his taint. It's
yeah,
really
whatever.
weird.
Like it's
Really
like,
awkward
whatever.
for everybody involved. It's awkward for the people in the room. It's awkward for the people in the theater.
Like
I just wish it didn't happen.
Like I just thought everything post that scene. Thought she was really good.
Yeah.
Like, it was like interesting. She's like been in that, and Triple X came out at the same time.
After that scene, though,
Common was really good in this. Like, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, she was good.
Placement there too. I was. I
but
just
he's been
remember
doing
watching,
that for a few years.
I was watching it though. I was like, is that Common?
It absolutely is. Like he was really good, and I really hope he survived their encounter on the train. Because they left.
That was a great scene,
and that specifically the choreography of their fight scenes, like all of the choreography of all the fight scenes of the movies are great, and you can definitely see the first one to the second one. The first one was really good. The second one takes it to a new level.
Yeah,
which that doubled budget, is going to do that, right? But specifically, his fight scenes with Common, they had such great chemistry on screen, beating the shit out of each other.
Absolutely.
The fight in Rome, the fight on the train at the end, or in New York at the end of Common's character, and I hope he survived that though, because you remember he said professional courtesy.
Yeah.
I stabbed you in the aorta. If you pull it out, you're going to die. And he leaves him alive, and he just nods. I hope he's back for the next one.
Yeah.
Like, and then they could go either way, right? Because if you said, oh yeah, he died. Well, he got stabbed in the heart, sure.
Yeah.
If you
No
said,
big deal.
oh well, he survived because he was able to get to a hospital without dislodging the knife in his fucking heart.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's badass. John's gonna get this to come back and bite him in the ass.
And with the Common character and the cool chemistry that they share when they're on the screen together, when they're fighting, you know where I'm going with this, and they break through the window of the Continental and they're still fighting, and the guy's like, "Gentlemen, gentlemen," and he stops. They stop fighting, and then they both respect the rules. They're not gonna at this point.
The bloodlust finally subsides. Like, oh yeah,
and
everyone's watching.
They look at each other, and he goes,
"You still drink a gin
and tonic, right?" And he looks back at him and he goes, "Bourbon, if I remember correctly." And they go to the bar. And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so silly."
And he goes, "Yeah, this one's on me," because they can't kill each other in here. And then and then look, there's Ruby Rose over his shoulder again. She wants to buy him a drink, or he wants to buy her a drink. I forget. And they have another little chat, and she signs to him. By the way, I really like what they do with the subtitling.
Yeah. Oh man.
Whether it was someone was speaking in Russian in the first movie, or with Ruby Rose, they do subtitles to after we find out that she's mute. After the first couple scenes we see her, the subtitling, like the graphical work on that, I think is so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why, just stylistically and everything in this movie, the style, and all
really
cool. The
and
visuals,
very,
and stuff
very
like
different.
That. Yeah, it's got like some. To a certain extent, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like that '80s like sci-fi type of like visuals with like a lot of the backlit and like neon colors and stuff like that. It was reminiscent of like playing Mass Effect series, like some of the coloration and like in like the Citadel and like in the wards and like the clubs and stuff like that. It's like similar to that, which is like if you want to bring it back to movies like Blade Runner or stuff like that, like. It was like very reminiscent of that like kind of style, even though it's super modern. Everything is like really sleek and tight, like production and everything like that.
Yeah, it's well done. It's a cool mechanic in the movie itself, and they do it They do it interestingly in a couple different parts of the movie. So it's like because those words didn't they appear in the first one as well at certain scenes? Yeah,
when the boss was speaking in Russian.
Yes,
that's what they did the subtitles for.
So cool. Such a cool little mechanic.
Yeah, because what's the name? The guy who does the Mayhem in the Mayhem commercials?
Yeah.
Is like his right-hand man in the...
English, please.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my god. That's funny. John Leguizamo's character.
I was surprised. I thought he was going to get more run in the second one.
So did I. The way they brought him in pretty quick.
Like, they gave him more to do in the first one. I just re-watched the first one the other day so we could talk about this. I forgot how much he got to do in the scene when Alfie Allen's character brings the car to him the first time, and he decks him in the face, like,
Theon Greyjoy.
Alfie Allen.
Yeah.
Same guy. You got Google, fuck you. You punch him in the face, and then what's his name? I understand you struck my son. Well, yes, I did.
That scene is so much better because of the next line, though. I understand you struck my son. Yeah, he stole John Wick's car. Oh.
And he hangs up
the phone.
And then he comes downstairs and he beats the shit out of him.
And that's when you really find out how scared they are of him.
The fact that he beat up his son for stealing a car?
Well, you get your first hint of it by the fact that, like, John Leguizamo's
almost shits his pants when he sees the car?
He's like, where did you get that car? Like, type of thing. And then when you're supposed to get the feeling that this guy's dad, Theon's dad, is really, like, he's like this boss. Like, people fear him. He's in charge. And then when he says John Wick's name, it's like, got it. And then you're like, John Wick is scary. This is cool.
Yeah, no, that was it was a cool. And he takes the car right in the second one, and he says, "Oh yeah, I can fix this. It's only gonna take me like 6 months or whatever." Which, by the way, that scene was cool as shit. The opening with the car.
Yeah. What did we say? Like, it'll be done like by Christmas.
Of 2020 or something like that. But that was really all we saw him. Other than at the very end, I think he got one more scene.
He did get. Yeah, he got one more scene when the texts went out for the hit.
Yes, because he realizes I'm going to be holding his car for a while.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, he's even though he has minimal screen time, I love him. I thought he's pretty cool.
I'm fine with it.
Pretty cool. I've always from his like silly movies like The Pest years and years ago, which it's a terrible movie, but that
is a bad movie.
It's really funny though. I love it so much.
Only remember parts of that. I don't remember if I actually saw that whole movie. I think I saw that when I was like 12.
I'm not going to, but I can recite the entire intro song. Not happening.
I forgot that movie existed. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, that's a weird movie.
That's a movie. It's a movie.
That exists.
For sure. It's actually a movie that a couple of friends and I actually do quote fairly often.
Someone made that movie.
The Deer Goose.
What?
If you've seen The Pest, you get the Deer Goose reference, but the Deer Goose. It's indigenous to the island.
Wow.
So, John Wick's terrifying. We get that.
Big time.
It's really cool to see these big bosses like shaking in their boots at the thought of him. Speaking
of new big bosses, because I feel like this is a big setup for the third one. How about Lawrence Fishburne as the Bowery King?
Yeah,
I was hoping we'd get more of him.
The character is interesting.
Yes.
Didn't care for the performance.
Well, they didn't give him much to do, really.
It just felt over.
I think they just told him to go and be campy. You know what I mean? Like, he just kind of did his thing. It was just cool to see. But it was just cool to see Neo and Morpheus on screen.
Yeah, I know.
One more time.
The thing is, though,
now we just need to get Trinity.
Yeah, it's cool.
If they can't get her on
because
board
it works like for the most part, the campiness, like it's over the top, but I take it. And then that scene happened, and I was just like, yeah, I don't really like you in this.
I mean, that's fine. I think we still have to see more. Well, I think we don't usually see the hard edges of Lawrence Fishburne so much. Like, I mean, if you've seen 21, like you'll see it in that one.
Yeah.
But he kind of acquired some of like a paternal role. I guess he literally plays a grandfather on TV now. I guess, but like, he's in that with Anthony Anderson. Blackish. Yeah, he kind of had like a hard edge to him. But it was just good to see them still have that natural chemistry, and I think that's a big setup of a new entrant into the whole game that's being played on this international scale amongst all the crime families, because they teased a war between them and the council if they were caught helping John to find and kill Santino. But at the same time, Santino is planning on taking over all of New York anyway, which means they're going to lose ground. So by not helping him, they lead themselves to an inevitable war with them and this crime family, right? So he has this whole, wink, wink, nod, nod thing to help John, right? It was just cool. I just can't see how, and the fact that it was reaffirmed later that they get a text message about the open contract on John.
Right.
If Lawrence Fishburne's not back and those group of homeless people aren't homeless assassins or whatever they were, don't come back in the next one, I think that would be kind of a squandered opportunity, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll resurface.
And I stand by the fact that if they don't find a way to get Carrie Ann Moss into the next one, they're missing out on a big opportunity.
Really funny. Joe Pantoliano. That'd be awesome. Just the whole cast. Tank? Dozer? And those are their names in it.
All of those like, Switch, APOC, all of them, like Mouse, like none of them have been in anything else anyway. You couldn't have hired them all to be all the homeless people.
He sneaks up on her, and she goes, not like this.
I think does such a great job, like with like casting, like getting like new faces in there, like faces that new and old faces that we recognize in like the acting scene. Like, I'm curious to see who they pick for the next one, like to get some new like blood in there. You know, like Common and Ruby Rose were both great. Like Common may or may not have made it. Ruby Rose didn't. Which by the way, oh my god, her hand. When he kills her,
he
stabs her through the fucking palm and then through the chest, like in slow motion.
She didn't die, but
what?
She didn't die.
Yeah, she did.
Did she? No, she didn't die.
Yeah, he killed her.
No.
She stopped moving.
No.
And there was no blah, blah, blah.
There's I'll be seeing you soon. Not if I'm seeing you again.
Well, but that was a callback to them.
Yeah. They just didn't, she didn't die on screen, though.
Then why wouldn't he have finished the job, though? He had every opportunity.
I don't know. She didn't die on screen.
I felt certain she was dead.
I could the only reason that's not 100% and it's like 99% confidence is the way that you're looking at me, but I could 99% confidently tell you that she didn't die on screen.
She got stabbed in the fucking chest. That sort of Common, but Common was clearly conscious when he was walking off the train. She seemed motionless.
Maybe she had something. Maybe he had something for her since the first.
There wasn't a flashback. There wasn't like another little flashback later or something like a kind of final scene of like her like not at the end, but like at some point like there wasn't some. I don't know.
No, I'm fairly certain that she didn't die.
And how fucking cool was his suit in that? By the way,
oh my god.
Like some of the tech stuff that they did in that was awesome.
When he
because the
same thing with the sommelier. Like then when he went to go talk about the
tailor,
suit, they just talk about it as if it's a suit. And
other than the inherent thing about it's completely impenetrable. You know, this and that. We sew it in the inseam. This and that.
And then he's like, "It'll stop a bullet, but it's gonna hurt."
Yeah, and you just see that, which is cool. And then you see with someone because it was cool how he starts to. You saw him a couple of times use the suit defensively, where he
holds
fluttered the suit or moved it to use it as a shield, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, just little subtle things, right? Mm-hmm. But he still gets stabbed in the stomach, and it's like, oh, that's right. It's just the suit. It's not the shirt, That
was great.
And that Catacombs fight was cool as shit.
Yes, the Catacombs was nuts. The set piece of the whole mirror room was really interesting too.
That one kind of drove me a little bit nuts, just because it was kind of a cliched type of thing.
It was
executed it cool.
It was, but I think it was cliche in the best way. It was isn't there an old Bond movie?
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Yes, it's just it just reminded me of that, or
it was
the Bruce Lee movie too. I believe.
I'm not well versed with Bruce Lee stuff. Yeah. I know he faced off with Scaramanga, and there's a whole thing with him in the room.
And it just felt like that. And what's more is it felt so good because it really does. The whole movie feels like an older movie like that you could just go and super enjoy this action flick, but there was way more to it than the action flicks of yore.
Yeah, it's what that popcorn action flick is supposed to be, but with all of the headiness and Heady Topper, brother.
With all the Heady Topper.
With all the Heady Topper. I mean, all the headiness and all the clever and how well done the action is. It's beautiful. It's like dancing, but brutally murdering people.
One of the big things I loved was the dog in this movie.
For one, it survived.
Well, the dog from that he rescued at the end of the last one. Yeah. But there's a great scene where he leaves the dog with the guy at the Continental.
Yeah,
and he's just like stay, and the dog stays, and it's these two He saved the dog understands it and gets him. I feel like the two of them are so exhausted at this point.
That dog was so well trained for him owning it for 3 days.
Yeah, he was it was this whole scene where they look at each other and he's like, bruh, just stay. And the dog's, bruh, I got you. I know.
Also, it's kind of sad too when he brings in the dog at the end and he's like, we've grown to be great friends.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we'll have to be no longer seeing you.
Yeah.
It's what's coming up next? And then
I thought maybe he was going to leave the dog with him. To be honest with you.
I was wondering too, because I don't know how he's going to survive on the run. The dog is happy to run with him at that cool scene where you see everyone within a 6-block radius is answering a text message looking at him as he's running down the
scary.
street. Like, so everyone in New York is an assassin. I'm just gonna walk down the street. And every one of them is gonna be able to kill me with a pencil. Which, by the way, I love that they
the pencil thing was.
They talked about it so much in the first one, and then they do it in the second one.
Fucking pencil. And it's like that line is so horribly delivered, but in the best way.
Yes.
Oh man, I loved it. But yeah, they talk about the first one, and then it gets recapped in the second one, and then you see the pencil, and you're like, oh, I know how this is gonna go down. I can't wait to see this in action.
Oh yeah, this one is gonna make the Joker thing look like a parlor trick.
Yeah, that was so good. Oh man, the pencil, so clever. But
how? I mean, and also like that whole thing with Winston, like the choreograph, like he walks and like expecting like a bullet in the back of the head as he walks down into the park to meet with Winston at the end after he broke the company rules, right?
Yeah.
And he says stop, and everyone freezes.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! Because he's given you this whole like nice, sophisticated outward appearance. You don't think much of Winston. Like you like him, he's interesting, but you don't like think of him as a big mover and shaker. You know, he's just kind of And you know that he has the power in his own place, right? But to see the power he
commands,
bring to
like,
might
overall
outside of his own domain, like
well, also like not only that, like it shows a lot more too. It's like he is a straight up businessman, and he just like these are the rules, follow the rules. That's it. I provide the services, and that's all. But there is a fondness that he has for John,
as he's waiting to dial out 1 hour from now, 14 million, for
which is like the most insane. Like that courtesy holds so much weight.
Yes.
Which is really fun.
You know he would have just put a bullet in his head if it was anyone else.
Instead, just like they did with the girl at the end of the first one.
Oh, with Adrian Palicki,
yeah.
And like, even though it's a little overdone again, it did seem kind of right. You know, whoever you send after me, or whoever comes after me, I'm going to kill them all. I know you will.
Yeah. Oh man, it's clever. It's well done.
Yeah.
Well done movie. Well. That has been episode 3 of Flix and a Six, a Spinchoon production. Check out spinchoon.com to catch a new episode every Monday and a new article every Thursday. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can reach us at The Spinchoon on Twitter and Facebook, or email thespinchoon@gmail.com. TheSpinchoon. Thanks for tuning in.